What's going on, YouTube family? It's your boy Mike Macklin, aka Money Mike, the financial Thanos, because I'm snapping my fingers and I'm turning your financial problems to dust. Hey, I want to welcome you to my channel. If this is your first time tuning in, please do me a huge favor and subscribe to this channel and also hit the notification bell. That way you know every single time I drop another great, fantastic, beautiful video. And also, if you enjoy this, please help me out with this YouTube algorithm and smash that like button. Definitely would appreciate that. Getting right into this thing, every single Tuesday and Thursday, I jump on and I do reactions to different videos. Now, the videos that I look at is I don't watch them, so we're watching these together. And the videos I choose is videos relating to money, different strategies of money, different aspects of money. And today is no different. Today, what I decided to do is I decided to look at a video about the 10 cheapest states to live in 2021. As we all know, we're in the middle of a pandemic with a lot going on right now. The economy is changing right before our eyes. The way business is being done is changing before our eyes. And so this article really kind of well, not article, I'm sorry, but video kind of reached out to me and made me want to take a look at this and examine some of these different aspects as I look at this video, because I'm sure they're going to look at different aspects of costs of living and different things like that. So without further ado, let's get into this thing. Let's figure out what's going on and let's analyze this video. Let's go.
To show you the states with the lowest cost of living in 2021. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs. Today we're going to look at the cheapest states to live in 2021. Life here in the United States is somewhat moving towards normality, and a post-pandemic life may actually be in sight. We're also starting to realize how bad the economy is damaged. Life in 2021 and beyond might be considerably different from before the pandemic. State-to-state migration has picked up steam, and people are starting to research where their next home state might be. After jobs, people research cost of living and cost of housing. Another one that is important but not often looked at is the cost of groceries. It does vary state to state, a lot in some cases. In this list, we'll include all three of those things. The cost of living index is based on the US average of 100. Any amount below 100 means that the cost is below the nation's average, and any amount above means the cost is higher than the nation's average. It's that easy. Easiest way to understand it is, let's say Virginia is average. If it costs $1 a pound for flour in Virginia, it costs 93 cents in Louisiana because they have a grocery index of 93. Simple. All these stats are from the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Let's see what we found. Number 10. Indiana. Indiana is a state I think will become more popular in life after COVID. They have more than enough small towns with good internet and a low cost of living that should draw remote workers.
Good internet is
important. If you're retiring and just want to kick back and relax and you don't mind a little cold, the Hoosier State might be a good option. Keep in mind, Gary, Indiana, parts of South Bend, and parts of Indianapolis are not good options. If anyone suggests that you move to any of those cities, they aren't your friend, and unfriend them. The cost of living index in Indiana is 90.4. Grocery cost index is 92.3, and housing cost index is 76.5. That's not bad. Number 9, Tennessee. Tennessee is where you go when you want a little of the big city feel, but you want to live near the country.
I stayed in Tennessee for a few years.
Not too far away from rural areas. That's easy to do in Tennessee.
It's a lot
Other
of
than
rural
Memphis,
areas.
there aren't a lot of terrible places to live in the volunteer state. But according to one guy named Marty, who's from Memphis, says there's nothing wrong with Memphis and I should be arrested for lying and frauding Tennessee. Spelt it F-R-A-D-I-N-G. I replied back with, how was Tennessee defrauded? He replied with, who's defrauded? I'm talking about you. It was at that point I realized if I continued interacting with him, I would just become dumber. 2 days later, I got an email back from him after not responding. He said, I didn't think you'd have anything to say. I'm at a loss, people.
Wow.
I am totally at a loss for this dude. Anyway, moving on. The cost of living index in Tennessee is 90.2. The grocery cost index is 94.5. And housing is really low at 82.6. That is not bad. Taxes in Tennessee are very low, so that helps out. There's no state income tax, and food costs are very low, like I'd said. Cities like Morristown have an average cost of living that's 13% lower than the national average. It's a great time to live in Tennessee. Number 8, New Mexico. New Mexico has a bunch of problems. Poverty and crime are what would be considered major problems here. That,
Okay.
in part, is why the state is so inexpensive. New Mexico is always in the top 10 when it comes to poverty, and that doesn't mean you can't find nice places to live. You have places that are nice and a little expensive, like White Rock and Los Alamos, to places like Lovington and Hobbs that have a really low cost of living and a little more crime than they need to have. Now, when I say crime, I'm not talking bad side of Detroit or south side Chicago.
Now get off
crime.
Detroit
This
now.
is New Mexico crime. It's not the best, but it's not crazy. The cost of living index is 89.6, grocery cost index is 99.0, and housing is 80.4. One other thing about New Mexico, it has some of the lowest utility costs in the country. Number 7, Alabama. The Yellowhammer State is starting to show signs of life. Since 2018, they have started to see an increase in younger workers, mostly on the tech side of things with new college grads. Smart people are moving to Alabama. Whoever saw that one coming?
Oh,
Normally,
gosh.
you were smart if you didn't move to Alabama. But the tech people are
That's
moving to
terrible.
Alabama, sort of destroying that old stereotype about Alabama that gave us great jokes like, what do you call 23 John Deere tractors at a Dairy Queen? Prom night in Alabama.
Dang, bro.
Alabama's
Come on
got some
now.
spots you don't want to live in, but they also have some really nice areas. Madison, Alabama's nice. Hoover, Alabama. Homewood. Chelsea, Alabama. These are all really nice places that, you know, they can get expensive, but then you have some places that are still decent, like Helena, Spanish Fort, Mobile. They're decent, you know, not perfect. The cost of living index in Alabama is 89.4, grocery costs are 95.1, and housing, get this, 70.2. So
Lord.
just a refresher, that means with a 70.2 housing cost index, an apartment in Virginia that costs $1,000 only costs $700 in Alabama. Not
Food
bad.
for thought.
Number 6, Georgia. Georgia is an inexpensive state to live in and would really shine if you took Atlanta out of the equation. Atlanta's expensive. In general, the entire state
Atlanta
is
is very
inexpensive,
expensive.
but Atlanta is a little different. You have beautiful
Yes.
cities here like Savannah that aren't crazy expensive. You look at Savannah and you see down by their waterfront and all that, it's a beautiful historic city, and you think this place is expensive. It's really not. Georgia's another state with great places to move for remote workers. The median rent price in Georgia is cheaper than the rest of the country. The cost of living index is 89.4. The grocery cost of index is 99.0, so it's almost even. And the housing is 71.3. Number 5, Missouri. The Show Me State is probably the state I would choose out of all the states on this list. The Lake of the Ozarks
Why?
is an incredible place to own land and live, and I've been looking into it. I doubt I'll ever move there or anything like that, but it's one of those things I think about sometimes. Anyway, Missouri is investing in internet infrastructure, and more small towns are getting decent internet. That's always been a problem with Missouri. They were kind of behind outside the cities when it came to internet. Indiana's kind of the same way. But lately they've been changing that, and I think it's an attempt to draw in more remote workers. Now, if they could just get the locals to quit calling it the interweb, they'd be okay. I'm not even
The
kidding. When I
interweb.
worked at Netflix, I'd get them all the time, and they'd call it the interweb. I'm on the interweb right now, and it was people in Missouri and Indiana, that portion of the country. It was just weird. Arkansas, too. They used to call it the interweb a lot also. The cost of living index in Missouri is 88.9, grocery cost index is 97.6, and housing is 71.6. Number 4, Kansas. Kansas is a state that was built on farming, and these days they are big in meat packing and manufacturing. They have a lot of open land and not a lot of people outside its major cities, so housing tends to be on the cheaper side. If you're an avid hunter, you should be aware of a few restrictive hunting laws they have in Kansas. Number 1, it is illegal to use a mule in duck hunting. Yeah, and number 2, you can't shoot rabbits from your motorboat. That's no joke. Look it up.
Who does
Kansas,
these things?
again, like a lot of other
seriously.
states, have now started to see where the country is going, so they're really putting a lot of effort into getting faster internet to some of the more rural places and trying to attract a lot of remote workers. Cost of living index here is 87.9, grocery cost index is 92.8, and housing is 71.8. It's kind of cheap to live in Kansas. Number 3, Arkansas. Well, it's Arkansas, so you know it's going to be cheap. Like I've said before, the northwest corner of the state is a little bit different. It actually is a place with jobs and not that much crime or poverty. The rest of the cities in Arkansas aren't ideal, to put it mildly. Unless you're a criminal, then by all means, knock yourself out. You'll find
Come
a lot
on,
of
bro.
like-minded idiots in those cities. But the small towns scattered around Arkansas are decent most of the time, and they're always cheap. Arkansas has the second lowest living wage of any state in the union. 49,000 is considered a living wage there. The cost of living index is 87.8, grocery cost index is 90.7, and housing cost index is 75.2. Number 2, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is like Kansas and a lot of the other states around this area. They have a lot of open land and a ton of small towns with a real low cost of living. The two main cities in Oklahoma are Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and they both have a low cost of living. Both cities have a cost of living that's 13% lower than the national average. Those are big cities. That's unheard of. Cities are always more expensive than the rest of the country. Not here. Both Oklahoma City and Tulsa have some crime, like all cities in the nation, but not crazy.
Right.
Both have jobs, and neither are wrecked with poverty. They also have a lot of small towns that would love to have you. One thing to keep in mind, Oklahoma does have jobs. They just don't have many good paying jobs. So if you're showing up like a remote worker with your own job or something like that, Oklahoma's probably ideal. The cost of living index is 86.8, grocery index is 94.1, and the housing cost index is 70.1. You could save some money moving to Oklahoma.
Oh, great.
And number 1, Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Hey, look, it's our old pal, the Magnolia State. Mississippi makes it onto a list with a positive spin for once. They never make it onto positive lists. But I guess part of the reason they're so cheap and made it onto this list is because they suck like a Dyson vacuum with a jet engine.
Come
in a lot
on,
of
bro.
respects.
Get off
Most
them.
of Mississippi's issues have to do with poverty. This is nothing new to this place. They've been broke for so long, the Federal Reserve won't even return their calls, and I think they may have actually unfriended them on Facebook. It is dirt
That's
cheap to live here.
terrible.
This is like nirvana for remote workers and retirees looking to save some money. Stay out of Jackson and you should be okay. Jackson, Mississippi's not a good place to live. The rest of the state, with all its little small towns here and there, they're pretty nice. They have some really run-down small towns, so make sure you choose wisely. But the good small towns are really good, and they have quality people there. The cost of living index in Mississippi is 84.8, the grocery cost index is 93.1, and the housing cost is 66.7. So
Man.
Mississippi
Ugh.
is your number 1 state to live on the cheap in 2021. Hopefully 2022 will be better. All right, that's
All right. Good video. I enjoyed it from a financial standpoint, as well as, I mean, the guy was pretty entertaining as well. Pretty funny stuff. He was ragging on a lot of states, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. Hey, he's probably from wherever, but it's one of those things, so it's all good. Again, I think the video was really good. The strategy that I want to really bring to light here, I'll talk about that in a second, but what I want to talk about real quick, some of the things I liked about this video. First and foremost, again, it was entertaining. The guy was pretty funny. The second thing I liked is that he used some really smart aspects to look at, the cost of staying somewhere. He looked at, what groceries, basically food cost you, and housing, the two main concerns of the human condition, and then just, the overall cost of living. Now, he used an average, and, he kind of carried that against the average. So I think it's a good way to kind of look at the places. Now, from a strategic standpoint, I really like this video because I want to say it from a financial standpoint, financial strategy. With the pandemic and everything going on right now, people are looking for ways to keep more of their money. And the smartest way to keep more of your money is to live off of less of the money that you earn. Anybody can earn money. That's easy. That's the easy part. But what gets a lot of people is their ability to keep their money. Basically, they get their paycheck and give it right back. So one of the things you're going to have to learn is how to keep more of your money. And maybe looking at where you live is a key aspect to that. Housing accounts for a high percentage of most people's income. Typically, it's about a third of your income goes to housing. So looking at this here, and especially looking at the housing costs in some of these states, you really could stand to maybe look into some of these states. They're not the worst states in the world either. Obviously, what I've noticed is that a lot of the states that are on this list are in the lower region of the world, with the exception of a few. But it's like it really kind of had this like isolated kind of area, like Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Kansas, Oklahoma. It's kind of all in like this one little line, with the exception of like Indiana and New Mexico. But I mean, you don't see anything on the East Coast, so that may be something to think about for all my people staying on the East Coast, that may be looking for somewhere to move, and my people on the West Coast as well. But again, it was a really smart thing to look at, and this is a really good way that you can cut some costs. Maybe look to move somewhere else, get a change of scenery. A lot of businesses are still letting people keep their jobs and work remotely. So hey, look, you can still work across the country if you want to, and save on your housing and keep a little bit more of your money. So that's one of my key takeaways from this video. Is it's a great way to put some money back into your pocket. And as you can see, a lot of the states are looking, they understand this. They understand that people are looking to save money, and they're going to capitalize off of that. So they're already working on infrastructure as far as getting better internet connection, because they understand where things are going. And that's something else. As a business owner and a consumer, you have to understand how the world responds to different things and how that's going to impact your personal economy, because it's not about the economy. That has nothing to do with anything, but your personal economy depends on the decisions that you make. So I really, again, really enjoyed this video. Comment below if you enjoyed this video, and also hit that like button if you enjoyed this video as well as the analysis being done on it. Again, great strategy for people looking to save some money. I would really think about, again, looking at some of these states and looking at this strategy. Housing, again, is a huge expense for most people. So, hey, that may be a way to cut down on that cost. And, again, get yourself a great change of scenery. Hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you, got some good, valuable information from it. Comment below for some suggestions you may have, or some things that you saw, or maybe some states that you think should have been on this list. And we can definitely, analyze that, and maybe even do a video on other states that may be great places to move to. But that's my time, guys and ladies. As always, I love you. God loves you. He smiles when he sees you, and he sees you all the time, so he's always smiling. So why aren't we? Hey, you guys have a fantastic one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, comment below, and please, please, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. God bless you all. Gone. Damn, I ain't been broke in a minute.